Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. I'm doing a testing here with a 7.3 diesel 2003 from Brandon Woodall. I hope that I'm saying your name correctly. I have his computer here. He's from Florida. His concern is the EPC solenoid in the transmission. The EPC stands for electronic pressure control solenoid. That, as you can see in there, it says it's a variable force type solenoid that regulates the transmission line pressure. There is tests you can perform on the vehicle, and I have this in here. The fault that he is chasing is P1747 EPC, circuit failure, shorted circuit, or PCM. Current through EPC circuit is checked and compared after a time delay. An error will be noted if tolerance is expected will be noted if tolerance is exceeded, sorry, not expected, is exceeded during key on engine off and continuous onboard diagnostics. So error will be noted if tolerance is exceeded during key on engine off, continuous onboard. Short circuit causes minimum electronic pressure, control pressure, minimum capacity, limits engine torque, partial fuel shut off, heavy misfire, may flash meal chicken your line, right? So, but all the tests and everything that we can perform are done in the vehicle. I cannot do the test in here. I even had four IDS. I have the four BCM connected to my breakout box, and I have another computer in here, which is mine. And I'm doing the test. The EPC solenoid, as we can see here, is terminal 81 on the computer. That is a ground side switch solenoid and is expecting to have power on the other side. Let me close this 1 second. I have the data in here. So this is, again, just a little bit of what the computer is looking for. The PCM is looking for the lack of battery voltage feed through the windings of the solenoid at PCM 81 to set code P1747. So this is looking for battery voltage. I do have the battery voltage. I'm providing battery voltage. So there is a lot of tests you can perform in here. I did also mark the entire pad of that solenoid, which is coming from pin 81. And if we go back, right, so it's completely marked. So we're going up to the solenoid right here. Again, the electronic pressure control solenoid. We have the winding on the solenoid. And then on the other side, we have this red yellow that is going in now into pin 2. If we follow that one, again, it goes just through this other page and then goes up to a fuse. So this fuse is control. Let me just make sure I'm saying that correctly. So we have the injector driver module power relay. It's hot all the time and it will be controlled by the computer, most definitely. And then we have also the PCM power relay, which either one can power up that power going into there, right? So as we can see here, so this is terminal 30, hot all the time. Terminal 87 will be supplying power when this relay closes, and then that will feed power through the wire that we just follow. Um, what I want to show here is that indeed these two computers are from diesel 7.3, as you can see right there, 7.3 diesel. So is Brandon. And with the key on, I have the light nice and bright, and I am connected onto pin 81 on the 104 pins. This will be pin 79. We got pin 80 and then pin 81 and then all the way to 104. So, and that is lights up. I was looking and hoping to have a bidirectional control that I can turn on and off, but I don't. I don't have that. So I look into every single thing that I have, even with the 4IDS, which is the original software. But in order to perform the test onto that, let me just look into this. You see transmission hydraulic line pressure test. It says using this test, BFS or EPC solenoid can be checked for correct electrical and mechanical operation through the use of a graphical display of pits. The pressure transducer and OSC, a comparison can be made between the actual transmission pressure values from the pressure transducer to the values identified by the processor in the computer. The RPM and solenoid pressure can be increased and decreased while monitoring the transmission pressure response. The problem is this requires to have another tool and obviously the truck in order to run these tests. I'm gonna just proceed so you can see all the requirements, but then I have to have the BMM and then the tools that 4IDS requires, which is a pressure transducer and then the activation for the solenoid. This can do actuations and also see the pressure. So yeah, this is a very nice tool to have, but again, that will be a test that I need to have connected to the computer, and I don't have the BMM, so I cannot do that test. So I can then, this is just going to go on and try to connect, and it's not going to connect. This is with my computer, so let me switch computers and reestablish communication, and you can see that it's the same thing. I'll be right back. All right, I got Brandon computer connected, and even with nothing on because I'm supplying the power, which it should be on until you set the ignition on, but that's just a constant power. As soon as the ignition is on, we can see that is on. So it's doing the exactly same thing as with the other computer. I already checked that, but let's do a connection. So I'm going to establish the connection with IDS. This will launch the software, check for my license and all that stuff, but that's not a problem. I tried to do it with the top down, and it's the same thing. There is no bidirectional controls, and actually says it's not supported. So I'm going to just run this so you guys can see. Also show you the time and date. Almost 6 p.m. This was a year 2000. You want to resume that one? No, I don't. I'm going to even delete the sessions. So we are start from scratch. All right, we're gonna go and start a new session. All orders. It's going to start to establish the communication, and the communication is fine. It's very quick, especially with this one. This is a 2003. He told me 2002, but actually he's been and everything matches a 2003. So we're going to select that, and it says yes, it is federal emissions to 7.3 F series. Yeah, that is all correct. And these computers, you cannot read the pin number from the computer. You have to have the instrument cluster and other modules connected. But for what we need is fine. The software knows what it's working with. Even though it will not show me the entire bean, you will see it's just showing dashes. This is not required. You can just click the, check the tick mark, click on that, and we're already there. And then it's the same thing. I can just establish the same thing. If I go over to, I can have data logger, or I can go here. I can go to transmission, and this is, let's say it's not equipped. Power takeoff, let's just say that will be for like tow trucks and so other, or additional or optional equipment. But then, as you can see, this test is exactly the same, and it's something I cannot again do here. So as you can see, it's just showing me the same exact thing. So it's nothing I can do with this one. And the only thing that I can do is going into data logger, which is again to see the pits. And it's giving me exactly the same thing as in the top down. The only difference is in here you can select engine or transmission, but at the end of the day, I think the pits are the same because it's the same module. When you're working with IDS, you just click the erase on there. That will erase all the presets that they have, and then you can select where you are looking for in here, just the EPC. But then again, all I have is 0.6 volts, or actually 1 volt in here, 1 volt, and you see it goes from 1 volt to 0.006, and then 4.82 kilopascals of pressure based on that reading is going from 1 volt to 0 volts. So the computer is trying to do a test, and we can see activity on that. If I remove the test light, let me just disconnect it to see what change we have in there. Right now it's disconnected. I didn't see any changes on the pressure. I do see changes on the actual voltage. It's now on 0.06. Let's plug that um, again, the test light, because that's going to show a little bit of a voltage going through. And as soon as I plug that in, we can see that boom, as soon as I plug it in, is there. So I can see a response in the computer. Again, I would love to have bidirectional controls to be able to establish if we have a problem with the actual circuit or if the problem is in the truck. Brandon, I am sorry for this, but that's as much as I can check. Compared to a knowing good computer, the computer that I have is acting exactly as yours. And by the way, the circuit that is part of the EPC is not in there. It's actually here. So this is the EPC circuit. I can show you that too by, let me just unplug all this from here. Let me turn the computer off. It doesn't matter. We're not doing nothing with that. I'm going to, sorry guys, there was again another call. A lot of people trying to call me today, which I'm very happy. But yep, sometimes it's in the middle of the call and I mean in the middle of a recording and it's nothing I can do, right? So, all right, so what I do is we know that this is the terminal that we're looking for. So we're going to plug this in here and we can, make sure to, I think I already checked this or show this. It's terminal 81. So yeah, terminal 81, and I am 100% sure this is terminal 81. That's what I marked it and everything. So after that, all I do is put my meter into continuity. Now I am in continuity. First thing that I want to check is make sure that I get the beep, and that's 0. So we're 100% sure that we are in the correct circuit. That pin 81 will go here. That beeps. Hopefully my microphone is not killing that sound. And then from there, it goes to this, um, second. This is a current sense resistor right here. And we have it right there. It goes through here. And then on this transistor. And the transistor is not shorted because if it will be shorted right now, let's say we got a constantly on transistor because this is shorted, right? This will have continuity to either one of these ones, and it does not. You see, we got open line and no open line. So there is nothing in there. So the circuit is being on when the computer is connected only. And the reason, actually, let me just do one thing. Let me plug this back in here because I want to make sure. Let me just do one test. I'll be right back, guys. All right, so yeah, what I want to show you is that with no ignition on, we have through the transistor, we can see right here, this is pretty much ground, but in here we got like 5 volts and 5 volts. I'm connected from what power is going through here and then all the way through here, right? So this should be 0 because it's the same, right? So we have, and we can see that we got 0, 0, so that's the same path. If we touch ground, let me just find the ground in here. We got 5 volts, so that's a constant ground. Why is showing 5 volts? Well, because there is, let's say, some um, halfway continuity We can see that that is not completely bright, but it's both computers are doing the same. And we can see here we got 0, so again the same path, but in here we are not 5 volts and 5 volts. When I turn the ignition on, and now we have the light completely nice and bright, if we see the reading here, we got 1.6 and 1 volt. So that means that this driver is being commanded on in order to get the voltage down to here. When that is like that, I cannot, I will have to find a ground. Let me see what I can do, because I know I have a ground in here. So give me just 1 second. So what I did is connect my red lead now to ground. We're gonna do a voltage drop test, and we can see 1.5. So this is actually not being 100% ground or grounded. So if we have the same, if we measure here, we almost have the same voltage. So it's not being completely pulled down to ground, and that's the same thing that we have here. Again, through resistor, because if you see it right here, this current sense resistor, if we measure that side, we got the 18412, whatever. That should be the same we have here, and it's pretty much the same. And we have a little bit of a voltage drop through here, right? So now we got 1.592, and that is the same on this side of the transistor. But if we measure here, this is pretty much a perfect ground, and this is not because it's the command. So again, one gate, I will have to see if this is a MOSFET or how you call those BGT transistors. This is a no computer 2003, so I can have either one. But yes, we can have gate, collector and emitter, or I'm a little tired late, but if you want to know about transistors, just look online. But the principle of workings are almost the same. One will use a current, the other one will use a voltage in order to be activated. But realistically, for what we can see on that test slide, everything is working as it's supposed to. And what I want to show Brandon, because he was trying to, show me a test on these, this has absolutely nothing to do with the circuit. As you can see, we have uh, ground, ground, and something, and this is not being even activated. So I wish I could do a bidirectional control. Not sure why Ford does not allow us to do that. And I mean, they do have it on their software, but they make you have that special VMM tool, which I don't have either. And that really stopped me until this point. I cannot do anything else with this computer. I don't see nothing wrong with the actual computer. I'm going to give Brandon some recommendations because, yeah, there is a lot of tests you can do in the vehicle, which it will be to dip in this and check the power and see if the fault goes off. Because as it is right now, cycle the ignition on and off. You ensure the cables are connected. That was because we were playing with that, right? So let's just reconnect in here because I want to read fault codes. Yeah, we can see that 1 volt going up and down in there when the test light is connected. When the test light is not connected, it goes completely down to 0. So that tells me that it is reading it, and is, of course, this is not probably the same resistance as the solenoid. But again, if I unplug this test light from here, we can see the immediate drop, and it goes to 0.006. It's kind of like doing some sort of a diagnostics, sending maybe a voltage to it. And that's why you got the current sense resistor and everything on the circuitry. I mean, it's a little more, a lot more than that, but yeah, we can see that it drops the voltage. When I plug this back on, it's almost telling me the voltage drop on the circuit. You see, we go on and we can see a spike right there immediately happening. So for me, the circuitry is intact. I wish I could do the test, but I can't. So what we can do is, let me just close this so we can go over to fault codes. Again, we go here. Um, we can go into the self-test. We can go powertrain, automatic four-wheel drive, no. And we're going to just read this CMD DTCs. This is a constant memory DTCs. We can do on-demand self-test. It's not going to do any difference. It's going to require a lot more, but let's see if we get the P1447 or 1747, sorry. Start the engine and do that. Okay, so I'm not going to be able to complete this because obviously I cannot run, or not because I can, it's because I don't have everything connected to run it. Like, I will have to provide the cram and cram position sensors, and then pressures on the rails and the oil and all the stuff, which it will be a lot time consuming for what we have. I don't need it. This is a transmission solenoid test. And again, we don't have that 1747 in here. So this is what is worrying me a little bit. Is this fault only happening on the truck? Because if it is, the problem is in the truck, Brandon. I don't see the problem happening in here, so I can guide you through some tests you can perform on the truck. I cannot reproduce your problem, so this is as much as I can do. I will be posting this video and then sending you away, um, and just ask you to perform a little more testing in there that I can see the results and then condemn the solenoid or the circuitry. But for what I can see here, everything is there for that solenoid to work. All right, guys, I'm still here poking on Brandon's computer. I'm always, this intrigues me. I want to know more. I actually hate when I cannot get the bidirectional controls because then it leaves me hanging. But yeah, as you can see, I removed the driver. Okay, so the driver will have been installed here, and this is a replacement, and the actual driver, it is right here. Yeah, so nothing wrong. I don't think it is nothing wrong with it, but I have a replacement. So it is an NPN BGT transistor. How I know that? I have this tool. Let me share with you. I have this tool is Atlas DCA Pro. This is a very good tool. It lets you test components off the board. As you can see, I have the original one and the replacement, and they're both the same. I'm going to power this on, and if this would be shorted, this will tell me immediately. So I'm just going to wait, and this is telling me that this is, as I said, an NPN silicon BGT transistor, and where each terminal is connected. Red, green, and blue, and that's it. So I did take the time to write this down in here, and then this is the way the same image looks in here. That's an NPN, and that's the way an NPN should look. And I also mark which one is the collector, the base, and the emitter based on what I see. Things that I want to show is even with the driver disconnected or removed, not disconnected, when I turn the ignition off, I want you to see this. If I am supplying power, which I am right now, I have my best bench power supply on, and I have a wire that is providing power through a test line, and then it's connected to the EPC terminal 81 onto the computer. So with no ignition or anything, obviously, let's say constant power to that, which in the vehicle will not exist because it's through relays that are activated through terminal 15, ignition, and then supplies power to terminal 87, which is power through a relay, right? But then when I power this on, now the computer is up and talking, even though I'm not connected to a scanner, we can see that this goes off. And the reason it's going off is because we don't have the transistor in place. So again, all I'm trying to is uh, work with this 100%, and I want to show that, well, I don't think it's really necessary, but this is, again, Brandon's computer. One thing that I don't like has this corrosion on his cover. I see that he has no cover on the back. This usually has a plastic covering the back of the computer, and it's not. That is very important, Brandon. If you don't have that in there, water can get in. So I would recommend you that when you going to install the computer, if you don't have this cover in here, at least put like a duct tape, something that really seals, not electrical tape. There is actually a Gorilla tape that is actually your best choice that will really stick to that, and it's really good. But yeah, so this is good. I don't see nothing wrong. Either way, I'm going to change the a transistor and retest, but I know that it's going to have the same result. We already checked it with the other computer. I just want to show Brandon and all you that I do have tools to test everything, and I don't suspect to have any problems with the computer. The only thing, again, the downside is that I cannot perform the bidirectional control to fulfill the on and off and on and off. That will be my only part that I cannot do, and it's impossible to do. All right, so let me install the new driver on here and see how we do. All right. All right, guys, as you see now, I have the driver installed, nice and clean. I don't leave any flux or anything in there. I'm just going to connect the scanner just for the sake of having it, but realistically, this is not going to do any changing. This is just a save being from the last time that I connected. As you can see now that I did connect this to this vehicle, because that's Brandon's last digit on his VIN number, and that's as you can see 2003 F-350. And we're gonna do the same thing. And we just the real only reason I'm actually connecting this scanner this time is not because I think it's going to do any change in here, because I know it's not going to. Let's say, right now, no ignition. As soon as I put the ignition, it's just getting brighter. So it's doing exactly the same thing. The only thing that I want to show the scanner now is in order to see if we have bidirectional controls or not with top down, which I mentioned in the first portion of the video that it does not. And realistically, if before that's not allowed to do it, no other manufacturer or aftermarket scanner is going to be able to do it. And I don't understand why it's so important for you to be able to click those on and off. That Ford should have done this, but 2003, they haven't done it in 20 years. They're not going to change it. So we're going to have to live with all this like this. And yes, you can do your own test for the solenoids. I mean, you don't really need the computer. But when you suspect the computer, you want to have that bidirectional control to perform the test and make sure the driver and the computer can work. All right, so we select the PCM. Let's just read the data. I'm really happy with the top down. I think they make a really nice tool. I know it's a controversy from I think it's Launch and Top Down about copying their scanner or so. I'm not sure how that goes or so, but Top Down is a U.S. based company. So I didn't get this from a Chinese company overseas. This was sent to me from Top Down USA. So that it will be their team to deal with, not mine, right? All right, so let's again read the data stream to see what the values are in the EPC. We will have the same pretty much voltage and pressure, and we can see the same thing 1.6, 1.9, and then 73 psi. I guess in this case we can see that we have instead of the kPa, looks like we might be able to change that in here. I'm not sure how you check that or change that. Oh yeah, just select in here. Oh look, we can select. I didn't know that. That's actually pretty cool. You can change to PSI to MPa to HPa and all those. So let's put that in bar. So if you're you watching this from Europe, now you can see you can change that in here. Can we change that? Oh yeah, we can put them in millivolts. And that's actually better because that will be a lot more accurate than just looking at one volt, right? So if we have this, and especially when you're looking at small voltages, like this is 1 volt, so you just see 1.1 or so. But when we put this into millivolts, now you got a more accuracy because it's 4 digits. Same thing is in here. And instead to have 4.8 bar, I will go into PSI or hectopascals because now we got 4826. So you got 4 digits more accuracy as you read the values. But yeah, so this is the same result as we had before. So let's go over to read full, read false, and then I just will do the constant CMD. I'm tired, guys. It's almost 8, it's not almost, it's already 8:10 p.m. and I'm been looking for information. I'm actually trying to help another customer from, I forgot the name of the cornerstone in West Virginia. Tony asked me about help to find information for Eurovan. I think it's a 2003 for the G68 sensor, and I'm working on that. And I found all the information. And actually, Tony, all the information is actually in Identifix. You can find it. It is time consuming, and you need to know where to look at. He's more of a Honda. I think he's a master Honda technician from dealer, and he has now his almost his own shop. I think he's the owner or the manager. But yeah, he's dealing with now everything. And yep, welcome to my world. But yeah, so let's look at the fault codes in here and see if we have any P17, and we don't. So yep, I cannot reproduce that fault code in here. I cannot do bidirectional controls. I think I reached the end of my testing compared to a known good computer. Even replacing the driver just to see if we have any difference in there. I did show that without the driver, when we switch the ignition on, then the test light will not light up, which is obviously this is taking place when the ignition is on. The computer is commanding that on. It's not you just have a short in somewhere. It's actually the computer commanding that on. And we saw that same reaction with my known good computer. All right, guys, thank you so much for visiting the channel. I hope that this is a good information. You like the information that I'm sharing and see that I'm going beyond what a diagnosis should be on a component. I'm trying to help him to try to follow diagnostics procedures and find his problem on or the problem in the truck. All right, guys, see you next time. Don't forget to subscribe. Bye bye. Good night.